I'm Pauline.
Hey, I'm Priscilla.
I'm Pal.
And I'm Tamiron.
And welcome to the P3T podcast. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about grief and loss. People on this podcast are better than me, so some of them know the actual episode number. Pauline is not one of those people.
Even me, I'm not one of them. Tamiron told me.
Tamiron, you also want to tell me?
22.
Yeah, so this is the 22nd episode. Wow, would you look at us? Doing the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about grief and loss. So, do you guys ever remember feeling extreme grief over losing someone or losing something or any other experience of extreme grief? Yes, Pal.
So, yeah, I wanted to go first because I feel like mine will be the least deep responses. I don't know. I lost my grandfather not too long ago. Oh, no, it was quite a while ago, actually. It was quite a while ago. But I remember when he passed away, I felt extreme grief. But we were not like, sadly, we were not like too close. So like I quickly moved on, picked up my life. But now the other affected people, like now my parents, their siblings, my aunts, my uncles, those ones were a bit more affected because this was their father. But recently, the one thing like I think is the worst thing in the world is the loss of a parent to someone who's like young, to a young person. I think that's one of the worst, like of late, I think that's one of the worst things. And I don't know why, but I don't know. I think as you get older, the more you see loss, the more you see people going to heaven. So yeah, I don't know. I've just seen so many people losing their parents, losing their guardians so far. And there was a point where it was like back to back, like many people. And I hate that. I hate it so much. I feel like it's the worst thing that could happen. So I started to take Bible study, on Immersion. I found like different devotionals about grief and loss and how to help people. And yeah, it really helped me a lot just to learn how to, one, empathize, and two, just that even me, myself, I'm not like putting myself completely, totally immersed in that situation. That now even me, I need to dig myself out of it. And then also, I learned like ways in which I can support them, ways in which I can talk to them. Yeah, and just be there for people. I just learned to now be there for people. But yeah, that's what caused me a lot of sadness, just seeing people lose their loved ones. Yeah.
For me, I don't think I've ever experienced grief, having to like lose someone and losing someone in terms of death, yeah. But in real sense, I've lost people. But one person that really the one person, I think that the time it hit me more, it was similar to how people explain grief as, like what they experience grief as. When I lost that relationship I had with my dad. And it was like a very interesting way of how things turned out and how things changed 180, like in a couple of days. And yeah, it was for the best. Yeah, relationships come and go, but this one was one relationship I thought that was going to be constant. One relationship that, yes, he's still alive. Yes, maybe later in the future, there could be something where we could have a reconciliation. But as of now, as of how things are and how things went, as per the last time we interacted, I feel like that chapter feels more so dead. Yeah, and even how I dealt with it at that time. In real sense, the way people say, there's this thing I saw in a certain program my mom was going through called Divorce Care. And it talks about how, like, it helps people who are divorcees coming out of such situations, what they need to do, how they need to get used to now this new lifestyle that they're now accommodating into their lives. And it was saying how divorce, or rather separation, can feel more like grieving. Because now this person, your relationship with this person has gone, it's no longer there, it's more so dead. And in such stages, even sometimes it's like you'll never see this person again because you don't want to even see them in your life ever again. So it was more like that. and it wasn't the best, but I'm here and I'm happy and I'm alive, so that's good.
Yeah. I also, honestly, I don't think I've gone through any major loss. I think the one that comes to mind was when I lost my aunt a couple of years back. She was my mama mkubwa. So at the time also, I feel like I was a bit too young to have an established relationship with her. Or like there's that relationship of child and aunt that like, I mean, each other exists, they care for you, but then like, you're not talking yet, or you're not yet at the age where you can freely talk to them. You're more fearful.
Yeah.
But then I remember she was a wonderful lady. And her loss at the time was very painful, I remember. But then just like Pearl, it didn't take me too long to kind of just move on. Because unfortunately or maybe at the time I was too young to foster, some relationship with her.
So for me, in 2015, my dad died in a car accident. So it was painful. It's still painful. I don't think you ever like move past that pain and now you're okay. But like you learn how to organize life around it and move forward, because at the end of the day, you have to move forward. Like the world would wait for you to finish grieving. So yeah, that was probably the most painful thing I think I remember going through. But it wasn't like pain, like I learned my dad died and then I was in extreme pain. No, it's kind of pain that just sits with you and like settles. So like the first week, everyone is coming to your house, everyone is like doing things, everyone is buying clothes, preparing for the funeral. So like at that time you're kind of just floating, things are happening around you. But then the longer and like the more and then eventually people leave, people continue their life, you continue their life, you go back to school, life continues. But then like the longer you sit with this idea, well, not this idea, but this fact that he's no longer here, the more the pain sort of settles, and then it just becomes a part of life. It's not like now you've healed, you stop feeling that pain, you just learn how to live with that pain. I also don't know if pain is the right word. I think the more accurate word would be discomfort. So I wouldn't say like it's the initial one is pain for sure, because you're like grieving and it's really really painful. But I think the older I've become, the more it's become less of pain and more of discomfort. The next question is, how do you think this insane feeling of grief affected your behavior at the time, and how do you think your behavior has changed now? So we can start with, how do you think it affected your behavior at the time, if any at all?
So
Pal, sorry.
Yes. But I don't know, it's like grandfather doesn't, the grief was like at the time, when people, when we were doing matangas and things like, but even when people are coming to our house for like to mambolezi for my mom, I didn't feel anything. I was so numb. I was numb to everything, because you can't, you're running around after people. I think that's the most taxing thing about like doing mambolezi and doing mashakayas and things like that, is that so many people are coming, so somebody has to like do the hosting and do the everything. And my mom could do the hosting. She was grieving. So she was grieving, and so she couldn't do anything. So we had to be done like doing stuff, running around. And luckily we were old enough. I was like in high school. So luckily we were old enough to like put ourselves together as siblings and our dad and just like get things running, because she couldn't help to get stuff running. So I was very numb when things were happening. The only time I really felt anything was like we went for the memorial service and went for the burial. That's when I was, I was down bad. But yeah, I just felt bad, but then I was okay. I don't have lasting painful memories. But now what I can say about now, like recently with all my friends that I've seen them going through difficult times, is number one, I started reading those devotionals on YouVersion, and then number two, I started at the time that I was that I was reading those devotionals, I would dedicate the first part of my prayer to them. So I would say them by name. Lord, this person, this person, this person, and this person, be with them, comfort them, etc, etc. Yeah, and then now I would try and like check up on them, see how they're doing, you know. So yeah, but I was really intentional about praying for them and just like making sure that I now start to follow what I did in that devotion. Maybe I was naked actually a little bit now. I should go back to being on it. But at the time that I was like really, really affected, I made sure to direct all my, especially spiritual efforts towards them so they could, because me, I can't give them peace that surpasses all understanding, but God can. So that's what I was praying for them. Yeah.
Yes, Priscilla.
How the loss affected my behavior, I think basically I became really reserved, because in real sense it was a new experience, because it wasn't something that happened like out of the blue, so I wasn't seeing it coming. I was praying for it to come, but I wasn't seeing it coming
You didn't think it would come that fast.
that fast. And you know the way you like say like, oh God, like surely this is not a healthy household, this is not a healthy relationship my parents have. At least they separate. But then I thought it would be something like, okay, in my head, yes, I knew this thing wasn't going to change in some sort of way, but I had a little bit of hope that even if they were to separate, my father would probably change to be someone better and we get back together as a normal household, you know? But it didn't work like that. So I think reality hit me hard, because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I was praying for this, but okay, it's different. So it took a while, like it took some time for me to get used to it. I was very low. I think I was very depressed actually, because a lot of times I could call Karen and Pearl, either of them, and I'm just crying, bawling, and then there were days I just could, like, there were days I remember I would just sit in bed and not open the curtains, and just sit in bed and just do nothing. And it wasn't the best, but yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Paul.
Just now it's for Priscilla, as somebody who was looking from the outside in. I think the biggest thing that affected you was the reality that came out of it. Yeah, and also it didn't go the way you wanted, because you were praying for your parents to reconcile, but then they didn't. So it didn't go how you wanted. So that reality is really what got you. I don't know. I don't speak for you.
No, it's true. I'm agreeing.
But also you have a perspective that she wouldn't be
yeah.
able to tell.
Yeah.
Yes, Cameron.
Yeah. It happened a while ago. So I don't really remember how it affected me. I feel like I was probably more quiet. I was already quiet. So I was probably not talking at that period of time. But then just like Pearl, like, you know, I remember even at that time we were in Ushago, and we also we had to prepare for the funeral, so we had to be cooking, we had to be, so you don't like,
it doesn't register.
Yeah, it doesn't register. I feel like the one time I was hysterical was even during the funeral. I was not okay, but I was calm. I wasn't crying. But then when I saw that coffin go down, I just was bawling.
That's usually the
That's
part,
the
man.
part.
It's just like it's over, it's gone.
Like you're throwing the soil.
Hey.
Yeah.
So, when I lost my other grandfather in class 5, I remember sitting and thinking, God, please resurrect him the whole time. I think why you were like that, or my name is Karen. I think why you were like that is because that was a loss. That loss in class 5 was a loss of missed opportunity. So, because like I remember seeing our cousin, like when our other grandfather died, I remember seeing her crying, and like she didn't have like the chance to really like be with our grandfather because I don't know, just because of like family
Distance,
dynamics.
yeah.
Yeah. So she wasn't able to like really enjoy time with him, and that was the same thing for us because he didn't live here with our grandfather in class 5. So we never even like, got to see him and meet him in person. We finally like met him in quotes in person like when he was in the casket.
Yeah,
that's when we got
to see him for the first time when we were young.
So I think that one that hurt me more than other informed. To the other informed, I was like, God, thank you for giving me time with this man. Like I'm even a teenager. I have memories of him that I can carry forward, that I can tell my cousins. And they're all like, what was Guka like? Because I really can't remember. But with this other one, if my cousin asks me what my grandfather was like, I can't tell you. I wasn't with him. I was of age, but sikumbuki kitu. So I think that loss, the loss of, the grief of missed opportunity. Ha! Hiyo ndio inaponda, in my opinion, hiyo ndio uchungu.
I think for me, I can tell you now for sure, had you met me like immediately after my father's death, you would have not liked me. Like I was angry. But you see, the thing about like all of this emotion is when you're feeling it at the time, it's easy to justify. So I was angry, not because I had lost my father, but because the world was pissing me off. Like the problem wasn't with me, the problem was with the world. And it's really difficult at the time because you don't really have, like you have friends obviously, but in terms of family, you don't really have someone who's not going through it. So my mom is grieving the loss of her husband. My older siblings are grieving the loss of their father. So all of us are going through it. So all of us are just trying to figure it out. Not really on our own because we had friends and family that were with us, but like we're trying to make sense of everything. So I think there was a proper behavior change. So I was very rebellious, I was very angry, very disrespectful. I was an angry little girl. And I only very recently have I been able to make those connections because it used to be, so I was like pretty normal, and then I hit class 7, and then dad died, and then I became like this insufferable human being. Like I think about myself during that time of my life, and I was so annoying. Like I was just like, please, why do I behave like this? It was a mess. So I think that one was kind of the big behavior change. And it didn't like, I didn't wake up one morning and then I was like, actually, you need to stop. Like it came after a lot of when I actually started, building my relationship with God is when like all of these things were highlighted to me. Like, here you have some work to do. Here you have some work to do. Yeah. We don't roll our eyes at people while they're talking to us. Yeah, you know what we also don't do? We don't click at people. Like, it was small things that now I can look back and be like, yeah, okay, there was a problem there. And the root of this problem, the root of it was grief, and then grief, when not dealt with properly, becomes anger because you feel wronged. You feel so wronged, but no one is going to justify that you are wronged because, everyone, like loss is part of human life. So, you can't sit and be like, me, I'm in pain only because me, I've lost my father. But like so many people have at different times. Like some people didn't even get to meet their father, So it's hard when you're feeling sad, but then you can't justify that. Well, you can justify, like, it's normal to feel sad when someone dies, but it's a difficult thing to explain, and you don't really know what's going on. And then the other thing is I was pretty young, so I didn't fully understand what I understood. I didn't not know that he was dead, but like I didn't think it would manifest in me like the way it did. So I think that like there was a proper behavior. Like the point, I feel like you people think I'm exaggerating, but had you met me at that time, I'm not the same. We are not that Pauline, this Pauline, two different people. Two completely different people. So yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask. So there's another question I wanted to ask, but I want to replace that with how do you think society handles grief and handles these moments of intense pain that most people go through, I would say.
Not well.
Yes, fine.
Yes. So I don't give you time. Let me just come anyway. Not well. So I told you a lot of not a lot of my friends. Not everyone lost someone in their life there, but some of my friends lost also their dad a couple of years ago, like recently, and their example is the only example I've ever seen of society doing so well to rehabilitate people through grief. So for the, usually like somebody passes away, nini watu wanakuja matanga inafanyika, watu wanakuja kwa nyumba, wanakula chakula yenu, pesa inachangwa,
Wanakuacha na vyombo.
wanakuacha na vyombo, wanachanga pesa, mnafanya funeral. Either you have a little bit left over for the money or you don't. Either way, life. And then after the funeral, you don't see anyone again. Yeah, I think that's the worst thing, because I saw somebody saying that throughout that process, then the real funeral begins after everybody has left. Yeah,
For sure.
so I think society, people should understand that you're not supposed to be there just for the funeral portion of it. If you want to really be with someone, walk with them through the process. So back to my friends. So my friends, their dad passed away, and then people would come every day to the house, every day. And then now the funeral happened, and they expected people to go, but nobody left. People kept coming to help out. People kept coming to check in on them. So there are 3 girls. People kept coming to check in on their girls. People kept coming to check in on their mom. Their aunts, their relatives would come in every so often. How did the mom have to say, okay, all of you need to stop coming, because you need to actually see how life will be. Like, we need to be practical and objective to see how we're going to move forward without having to rely on people, because people can let you down. So she was just like, okay, I love all of you, I do, but for just a little bit, we just need to be the 4 of us in this household now, and just get used to being the 4 of us and learn how we're going to move forward from this loss. So and then, so people left a little bit, left them alone. But now she said, okay, now you can come back again. They still came back, And it's been a couple of years since the dad passed away, and those people are still in their lives to date. So to me, it's incredible how those people were so intentional with that family to work with them even until now. Now they're the best of friends. You can't say a bad word about any of those people who have worked with them to those people, because they will butcher you there. They will take you down. They will tell you are wrong because of A, B, C, D, Z.
And for good reason. And for good reason.
And for good reason, because they have worked with them this whole time. So I feel like they're such a good example of what society should be, but society is not like that. Yeah.
Can I just say, with reference to, okay, no, sorry, just cut this part out. Yes, Priscilla, just continue.
How society would handle loss or grief, I think it's not the best to. I actually agree with Pal with what she said, because in real sense, okay, I had the privilege. Now for me, I had the privilege of having friends. I had the privilege of having friends who stood by me, walked with me in this journey, and I think during this period of time, or the time that I was still in that trance-like state of, oh my God, it's actually happening, I realized who family is. Because in real sense, I've not experienced grief. I don't know about when someone dies. I'm talking about loss. In terms of when you're going through a lot of problems and a lot of issues in your life, that's when you start noticing who is there in real sense with their genuinity, because they do care about you, and who is not there for that purpose and are just there for the show. Because in real sense, during that time, I can say a lot of my friends and family friends became more of our family than actual family, which is quite sad. And you know, a lot of society is made up of many families. So, you know, in real sense, you'd expect your first hope or your first source of strength and support system coming from your own blood relatives. But in real sense, it didn't come from them. Like, even the kind of, like, obviously, we've picked ourselves up from what happened and all that. And I can tell you, I owe all that support, all that help from my friends and from my mom's friends. Very few, minimal support I would owe and credit it to family members. So, in terms of society, yes, there are good people, good members of society who will help you, but I wouldn't say be too dependent on certain people, because you get to know who they are during that time of adversity. Yeah, that's how I view it.
Yes.
Sorry, can I just add before Tamijon goes? I also feel like this now in terms of grief and loss, as in pertaining to death, I feel like there's usually a lot of family drama during those moments, especially like if this person was like older and they had money. A lot of drama.
Also, if the person didn't have money, because now it's a question of where do we bury, because well, I guess it's different for different cultures, but not being buried at home is such a big deal for certain cultures. Like, it's basically you've been shunned. So it becomes such a big question of, okay, so now this person has died, he doesn't have land, where do we put his body?
Yeah, I agree with you. But I feel like there's usually so much drama in society. So family drama, people like, you know, somebody come and say, oh, Suju was the second wife, oh, Suju is the child, oh, you get. So there's usually so much drama. These people are trying to grieve. They're trying to grieve, and you're bringing them all of this nonsense. So yeah, I feel like that's the number one way society fails: drama after loss. Yeah.
Like, just imagine, like 5 months from this death, the inheritance will still be there. We can deal with this like after. We don't need to do this now.
Yeah.
1 to 2.
At this point, I'll just name it the P3KT podcast.
Every episode today.
Today the topics are speaking to me. No, but why I want to contribute especially now is because me personally, as Pad has said, we've seen quite a few people go through like grief and loss lately. And like I've tried to, like, I've gone for funerals, I've asked my parents for the car, I've taken friends along with me, I've tried to like check up on them semi-regularly throughout the period of the meeting. But sometimes like you're going through a hard time 100%. But I feel like for society, you need to put your mind to it that I'm going to support this person no matter what is going on in my own current life, because they are going through more hell than I am at this time. But sometimes that is difficult for people. And me, I wasn't going through hell for sure. Lakini naenda kwa babangu kumwambia naenda Murang'a na nataka mafuta ya gari yake, prices za mafuta zimepanda. Yes, I still wait and I still eat, but even like there's small things of like checking up on someone every day, making sure people have eaten, making sure people have done this, that. I found that, yes, it helps the person that's there, but like as a society, it's a challenge to anybody who has somebody who's going through the loss stage now. It's difficult to be intentional. It's difficult to be there every day. That's true, but they're also going through a difficult time. Me, I tried. I failed in some areas. I did well in some areas. But try to be there for them as much as possible, as much as you can. Even if you can't do it every day, every week, call them, try. If they don't reply to you, that's fine. You've reached out, you're good. But just try to take it as a personal challenge, try to be there for people, because they'll be there for you.
I think also something that I learned is, no matter how many people are there for you, or how many people you've surrounded yourself with, healing is very much a you thing. Like, you will be the one who decides if you're going to move past this, or if you're going to move past this, or if you're going to like dwell on it. The other thing I wanted to say is, the truth is, death makes people uncomfortable. It does. Whether you're the one who's lost someone or your friend is the one who's lost it, from what to say, how to breathe, like you feel like you're walking on eggshells around this person now because, hey, what do I tell them? There's nothing you could possibly tell them. So it's important to note that if you're going to be there for someone, you don't need to have all the right words or have all the money. You don't even need to have words. Just it's an important thing to let this person know that I see you and I see your pain and I don't know what it feels like, but I'm here. You know, if you need to cry, if you need to shout, if you need to forget, like, I'm here. I will watch a movie with you if that is what you need. So I think that when we say, or rather when I say like society has failed, I don't think we should look at it from, oh, these people lost this, like the breadwinner, for example, because I feel like that one is usually a difficult one. Like when the breadwinner is lost and then now the family is kind of left floating. And you know, they, like society kind of just left them hanging because, like as Karen mentioned, people are going through it. Like even with this economy, people are going through it. So a measure of whether you've helped someone can't be monetary. It can't be I paid for this or I did this. If you did, that's great. You're like, I'm not saying don't do it. Please do it. Like people need it. But if you're not doing it, you're not failing. If you're not, you know, giving so much money, but you're still texting this person to make sure they're still, you know, alive. Well, I don't mean alive literally. I mean alive like actually engaging with life and not just existing, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that is equally as important as the person who's given out 1 million for the children's school fees or something like that.
Because the money at the end of the day, like in my opinion, the money at the end of the day, tomorrow we can wake up and the money has gone. Because somebody in the family decided, pesa ni yangu. But like that, being there for, even for you, I don't know, but even just being there for someone, just holding their hand as they reach the saddest moment of their lives, just being there at the graveside, making sure they're not turning to people who are also mourning, they're turning to somebody who can be actually there for them.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, I've seen that helps a lot as well. Yeah, but that's just my opinion.
Intention.
So yeah, now we're all in our fields because this is a very sad topic. No, it's I don't think it's sad per se. I think it's just uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable topic, but like it's a part of life. Yeah, so you need to have these conversations.
Can I just say, it's so interesting how we came from almost yelling at each other. If you don't know, we should cut these episodes back to back. Okay, although we weren't almost yelling at each other, it was just very tense.
A tense conversation.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, Pauline.
Spirited.
Yeah, it was very spirited. Yeah,
People are very passionate about what they were saying. What was I saying? Oh, I was closing off.
Yeah.
What was my last statement?
You can just finish.
Okay. So thanks for listening. Catch us at P3T Podcast on Instagram. Yes. You could listen to us anywhere, I guess, except
Watu wa Apple umetukosea.
Hata umepata iPhone 14 with a separate charger. Upgrade! Mohammed!
You could feel free to send us an email at p3tpodcastke at gmail.com. Man, it actually is.
I'm saying sarcastic, sorry.
DM us, share
The
stories, episodes.
Tell a friend,
you know,
tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Send us memes, send us reels.
Interact with us on Instagram, man. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching and bye.
Bye.
Wanna watch nini?
Listening.